a 36-year-old piece of cake, a signed photo of John Travolta, resort keys and a used bar of soap. These are items proudly owned by a 44-year-old Florida man who has been collecting memorabilia of Princess Diana for most of his life. John Hodson's home in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, is filled with more than 13,000 pieces of Princess Di-related memorabilia. In 2011, a museum valued his collection at $500,000. Hodson is the alumni director at Kaiser University. Outside the school grounds, he devotes his time to Princess Diana. Early on the morning of July 29, 1981, then 8-year-old Hodson was planted in front of the TV to watch Lady Diana marry Prince Charles. His mother said it was something he needed to see for historical purposes. "I fell in love with Diana right then. She was the prettiest person in the world," Hodson told DailyMail.com. "I followed her entire life. I loved her humanitarian work. I had a photo of her on my nightstand throughout college." Hodson went to England in 1996 and tried to see the Princess of Wales, but was always one step ahead of or behind her. She died the following year in a car crash in Paris on August 31, 1997. "It was kind of like losing a family member," he said. After the initial reports said she was injured, I sat up all night long. When it came across that she had passed, I didn't believe it. I drove to the local convenience store at 4 or 5 a.m. and saw one of the earliest morning newspapers had the headline "Diana dead." That's when it really hit me, he said. Hodson doesn't see any merit in the conspiracy theory surrounding Diana's death. "I think the hardest part was, how does the most famous woman in the world die in such an ordinary way?" he said. That was the most shocking part. Following Diana's death, Hodson decided to take his collection in a more personal direction. He started by writing to people who knew Diana with the hope of gathering signatures, along with remembrances. The internet was just taking off, so he Google searched for various people in her life to track them down. More often than not, people obliged his requests. To his surprise, many started sending other items. Her friend and confidant Simone Simmons sent signed birthday cards, Diana's t-shirt and a notepad Diana got when she vacationed at the K Club in Barbuda in 1996. She also gave him a bar of soap from that trip that Diana had washed her hands with. Simmons and Hodson still talk every day. "It's been a labor of love. I've gotten to connect with so many people who knew her. The collection really shows the personal side of her," he said. Hodson says the market for Diana items is busy because the 20th anniversary of her death is at the end of this month. However, he thinks that people gifted items to him because they knew they could trust him with her legacy. "People know I'm not going to sell any of it," he said. "That's not what this is about." Hodson's favorite item is the slice of fruitcake from Diana and Charles's wedding. The box is signed by 2 of Diana's bridesmaids, India Hicks and Clemmy Hambro. He said it's probably the most expensive piece of the collection. People often ask Hodson if he's tried any of the cake, but he hasn't. "It's 36-year-old fruitcake, and it looks really bad," he said. Hodson also loves the letters and cards. "She was a huge card writer," he said. "I have an engagement letter from right after she was engaged to Charles. It's signed Lady Diana." Hodson doesn't have his eye on anything right now, but he is always looking for new items. "As a collector, you know what's out there that you would like to have. I look for the affordable things, and make sure what I do find is needed for the collection," he said. As time goes on since her death, it's going to get harder and harder to find things. "I always have to keep it in check. It's sometimes tough to remember that you have to live too," he added. As his collection grows, he has had to start sticking photographs on the ceiling to make space in his home. Hodson said he couldn't possibly estimate the amount of money he's spent on the collection in the last 36 years. He did, however, say it was nowhere near $500,000. "I've seen signed pictures of her, and people are asking $20,000, or cards are going for $8,000. I don't like people who are trying to cash in on her," he said. "Memorabilia should be affordable because that's what she would have wanted," he said. Hodson estimates that a little less than half of the collection was gifted to him. The remaining items were bought on eBay, at auctions, or just whenever he came across them. "The weirdest item in his collection," he said, "is a knife with her picture on the blade. He found it in Tampa shortly after her death." He said that there was a drought in coverage of Diana in recent years, and he's happy that it has increased in 2017 because of the 20th anniversary of her death. In 2010, Hodson displayed his collection in a museum in Branson, Missouri, along with a few of her dresses. Unfortunately, the location wasn't great, so the museum was closed after a year. He currently has a few items on loan at an exhibit in Long Beach, California. Hodson said he has noticed a change in the younger generation. "I was in a store and I told the cashier that I had a 13,000-piece collection of Princess Diana items and she said, 'Who's that?' Sometimes I forget that this generation didn't grow up with her the way I did." Hodson attended the royal wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton in 2011. He is excited that William, Kate, Harry, George and Charlotte are carrying on the royal legacy.